Hello, this is the 63rd lecture of Revelation and World History. Last time, we finished the lectures on chapters 1 through 8 of Revelation and World History. We have finished the first half of the 12-chapter lecture series and have now entered the second half. We covered very important themes in the interpretation of the book of Revelation. We examined the substantive identity of the two beasts, appearing in Revelation chapter 13. We also identified the figure corresponding to the beast with two horns like a lamb, namely, 666. And the community comprising the 144,000. Furthermore, we historically substantiated the relationship between Gog and Magog and Babylon. And we looked into history to find out what kind of war the Battle of Armageddon was. In this lecture, we will examine the "not a single stone will be left upon another." Revelation and World History, Chapter 9, Section 2. The sin God considers most abominable. Let us examine the text of Ezekiel chapter 8. On the 5th day of the 6th month of the 6th year, I, Ezekiel, was sitting in my house. And the elders of Judah were sitting before me, and the power of the Lord God came upon me there. I saw a fiery form, its lower body was like fire, and its upper body shone like polished iron. He stretched out a hand-like thing, and grasped a lock of my hair. And the Spirit of the Lord lifted me up between heaven and earth, and led me in a vision of God to Jerusalem, to the gate facing north, which is the inner courtyard. There was the seat of the idol of jealousy, the idol that stirs up jealousy. The glory of the God of Israel was there, just as I had seen in the field. He said to me, "Son of man, lift up your eyes toward the north." So I lifted up my eyes toward the north. And there was the idol of jealousy at the entrance of the altar gate to the north. He said to me again, "Son of man, do you see the deeds of the house of Israel? They commit great abominations here, causing me to depart far from my sanctuary. You shall again," he said, "you shall see other great abominations." He led me to the gate of the courtyard, and I saw that there was a hole in the wall. He said to me, "Son of man, tear down this wall." So I tore down the wall, and there was a door. He said to me, "Go in and see the abominable and evil things they do there." When I went in, I saw that all the idols of the house of Israel were painted on the walls on all four sides. 70 elders of the house of Israel stood before it, and Jozaniah son of Shaphan stood in the middle. Each held an incense burner in his hand, and the smoke of the incense rose like a cloud. He said to me, "Son of man, have you seen the elders of the house of Israel, each acting in the darkness of the room of their idol? They say, 'The Lord does not see us, the Lord has forsaken this land.'" He said to me, "You shall again see other great abominations that they do." Then he led me to the north gate of the temple of the Lord. And there I saw women sitting and weeping for Tammuz. Then he said to me, "Son of man, have you seen this? You shall see even greater abominations than these." Then he led me into the inner courtyard of the temple of the Lord. Behold, at the gate of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, about 25 men were worshipping the eastern sun, with their backs to the temple of the Lord. Then he said to me, "Son of man, have you seen? Shall I say that the abominations of the house of Judah are few? Therefore, I will repay with anger, I will have no pity or show mercy. Though they cry out loudly in my ears, I will not listen." Ezekiel chapter 8 verses 1 to 18. Ezekiel chapter 8 verse 16 specifically describes the act of idolatry. "And behold, between the gate of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, about 25 men were worshipping the eastern sun, with their backs to the temple of the Lord, Ezekiel chapter 8 verse 16. During the Japanese colonial period, Japan forced Korean churches to worship at Shinto shrines. The Korean Presbyterian Church yielded to this, and eventually carried out Shinto shrine worship. Ezekiel chapter 8 verse 16 describes this event, exactly as it happened. On September 9, 1938, the 27th General Assembly of the Korean Presbyterian Church was held at the West Gate Outside Chapel in Pyongyang. The event in which the assembly passed a resolution on Shinto shrine worship, in the name of moderator Hong Taek-ki, and 25 church representatives worshipped at the Pyongyang Shinto shrine, is identical to the content of this passage. About 25 men turned toward the east, and worshipped the eastern sun. After the adjournment of the General Assembly, the Vice President, representing the officers, and the moderators of each presbytery, representing the delegates, paid homage at the Pyongyang shrine. We consulted Kim Sung-tae's Korean Christianity and the issue of Shinto shrine worship. At that time, the Korean Presbyterian Church consisted of a total of 27 presbyteries. Among them, there were 4 presbyteries in Manchuria, Function, South Manchuria, North Manchuria, and East Manchuria. Excluding the 4 presbyteries in Manchuria, the number of presbyteries within Korea totals 23. When combining the moderator of the General Assembly, the Vice President, and the moderators of each domestic presbytery, the total number is 25. This number exactly matches the biblical prophecy of about 25 people. In addition, shrine worship is also referred to as Dong Bang Yo Bae, offering from a distance to the east. This is a ritual of bowing toward Amaterasu Omikami, the sun goddess whom Japan worships as a nation. About 25 people bowed to the eastern sun, bowing toward the east, and about 25 people bowing to the sun god. Both match the content of the prophecy text exactly, without a single difference. As a result, the Korean church began to split over the pro and con shrine worship debate. The Korean peninsula was also divided into north and south, suffering a horrific war that reduced the entire land to ashes. Even during the Japanese colonial period, the church experienced revival. And the North Korean church even earned the nickname Jerusalem of the East. However, along with the division of the North and South, the North Korean church fell under Kim Il-sung's communist regime and was annihilated. Exactly 10 years after September 9, 1938, when the 27th General Assembly of the Presbyterian Church of Korea was held, the Kim Il-sung regime in North Korea was established on September 9, 1948. Pyongyang Theological Seminary is also the place that produced the first 7 Presbyterian ministers. The place where the shrine worship was carried out is, of course, Pyongyang. The North Korean communist regime was established in Pyongyang and annihilated the churches in North Korea. This is not a coincidence. It is God precisely fulfilling the plans he had long ago when the time came. On the 10th day of the 10th month of the 9th year, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, write down the date, the name of this day, for the king of Babylon has come near Jerusalem today. Ezekiel chapter 24 verses 1-2. In Ezekiel chapter 24, God tells Ezekiel to record the 10th day of the 10th month. Coincidentally, September 9, the day the Presbyterian General Assembly that passed the resolution on Shinto shrine worship was held. This day is the founding day of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, the name of North Korea. And October 10 is North Korea's founding day of the Workers' Party of Korea. It is believed that these dates did not occur by chance, either. Revelation and World History, Chapter 9, Section 3. The calamities suffered as a result of sins committed before God. The cause that brought about the calamities of the end days mentioned in Ezekiel chapter 7 is directly related to the sin of Israel, mentioned in Ezekiel chapter 8. It clearly demonstrates the fact that this is the result of the Korean Church's Shinto shrine worship. Specifically, turning away from the temple of Jehovah and bowing down to the eastern sun. That day of disaster is the day of flight, recorded in Ezekiel chapter 7 verse 16. This is identical to the explanation of fleeing, found in Matthew chapter 24, Matthew chapter 24 verses 15 to 21. That day is the Korean War, which broke out on June 25, 1950. In Matthew chapter 24 verse 20, the statement, "Pray that you do not flee in winter or on the Sabbath," strongly implies that such a thing will happen at that time. On June 25, 1950, the Korean War broke out. This day is none other than the Sabbath, observed in Christianity as the Lord's Day. The January 4th retreat, which became the second day of evacuation, also took place in winter. Both of these prophecies, the act of fleeing will take place on the Sabbath and in winter, have been fulfilled. Revelation and World History, Chapter 9, Section 4. Not a single stone will remain, and everything will collapse. Do you not see all these things? Truly I say to you. Not one stone shall be left upon another, every one shall be thrown down. Matthew chapter 24 verse 2. This refers to the temple in Jerusalem. It foretells that the building will all collapse and disappear. Upon the arrival of the church age, this temple was replaced by chapels. In the North Korean region, ruled by Kim Il-sung, not a single official chapel sign remained, all were either destroyed or used for other purposes. This meant that not a single chapel could be seen throughout North Korea. There were no chapels in North Korea until the late 1980s. When the chapel of Bongsu Church in Pyongyang was rebuilt for exhibition purposes. In a certain country, where the gospel entered throughout the entire 2,000-year history of the church, North Korea is the only place where a dictator appeared and annihilated every single church in the country. Thus, the North Korean church was thoroughly exterminated by the father and son, Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, who possess the number of the name 666. In 2026, North Korea reached the present day, ruled by Kim Jong-un, the grandson of Kim Il-sung. The tragic reality in North Korea, where freedom of religion remains denied to this day, is the result of the crime committed by the Korean Church in participating in Shinto shrine worship. The Soviet Union, which persecuted the Church and instilled fear of communism in the world, existed for 70 years, but has already vanished. Also, the two horns that ruled North Korea, Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, have already died. However, in North Korea, which is ruled by Kim Il-sung's grandson, Kim Jong-un, the church has not yet been restored. Nevertheless, when the time comes, every prophecy that the dead church will rise again will be fulfilled without exception. The final remaining historical fulfillment of the Book of Revelation and the prophetic books is the restoration of the North Korean church. We know that time is near. Understanding that time correctly and preparing for it will be the greatest task currently facing the Korean church. In the next lecture, we will examine Chapter 10, Judgment and Restoration, of Revelation and World History. It was the Bible History School.